solving square root types, our first step is to isolate our radical. So just like we isolated our term that had our fractional exponent, which is also a radical, we're going to do the same thing here, except that they're actually giving us the radical. So my first step is to get that radical all by itself. So I'm going to add it to the opposite side, and I'm going to subtract 20. So I've got x minus 20 equals the square root of x. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to square both sides to undo that square root. But because I'm square rooting both sides, I'm squaring both sides, not square rooting, squaring both sides may lead to extraneous solutions. So we have to check to make sure that our solutions aren't extraneous. X minus 20 times x minus 20 is x squared minus 40x plus 400. And the square root of x times the square root of x is x. I'm going to subtract x from both sides so that I have my quadratic set equal to 0, and now I'm going to try to factor. So I've got to find factors of 400. I've got 1 in 400, 2 in 200, 4 in 100, 5 in 80, 6, 7, 8. 8 goes in there 50 times. 10 and 40, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 goes in 25 times. So you might want to use a calculator to do this. You get your pairs and you say, is there anything, because I have an x and an x, what procedure, what process, what strategy would give me an outer and inner equal to negative 41? Well, that would be negative 16 and negative 25. So we get x equals 16 and 25. But remember, we have to check for those extraneous solutions. So we have x minus the square root of x equals 20. So we'll try 16 first. 16 minus the square root of 16 is equal to 20. 16 minus 4 is not equal to 20. 16 is extraneous. Let's try 17 or 25. I was going to say 17. I did say 17. So we've got 25 minus the square root of 25. I'm using this right here. 25 minus the square root of 25 equals 20. 25 minus 5 equals 20. That is true. So x equals 25 is our solution. X equals 16 is extraneous. Okay, let's have you try one. 2x minus the square root of negative x plus 3 equals 5. Go ahead and press pause, and when you're ready to check your answer, come on back. Okay, the answer I got was x equals 11 over 4. That's a solution. But I got an extraneous solution, and I got 2. X equals 2 is extraneous. Okay, so if you need to check your work, I'm going to rewrite the problem so I can see it in my handwriting. And then I'm going to subtract 5, and I'm going to add that entire radical over to the opposite side. So I'm going to add this radical, right, to the other side. And then I'm going to square both sides. Squaring a square root undoes the square root, so we have 4x squared minus 20x plus 25, and then negative x plus 3. We're just left with the radicand. I'm going to add x to both sides, 4x squared minus 19x. I'm going to subtract 3, so I'll get plus 22 equals 0. Then I'm going to try and factor this. I can do 2 and 2. I can't really do 2 and 2 because the factors of 22 are 1 and 22 and 2 and 11. And if I tried 2 and 2, then this 2 would have to go here, which would create a greatest common factor that didn't exist in the original. So not going to do that. So I strategy-wise, I know that this is a 4x and an x. And then I'm going to try 11 and 2, but I'm not going to put the 2 with the 4 because, again, that would create something that's not right. So I'd have negative 11x, negative 8x would give me my negative 19x. So if they're both negative, that's going to multiply to be a positive 22. So 4x equals 11, x equals 11 fourths, and then x equals 2. And when we try those back in the original, 2 times 11 over 4 minus the square root of negative 11 over 4 plus 3 equals 5. We get 11 over 2 minus 3 is 12 over 4. So that's the square root of 1/4, which is 1/2. 11 halves minus 1/2 is 10 halves, and that is indeed 5. So that's why 11 fourths is an answer. Now we're going to try 2. So 11 fourths is an answer. Now we're going to try 2. 2 times 2 minus, we're coming back here to the original problem, 2 minus 2, 2 times 2 minus the square root of negative 2 plus 3 equals 5. 4 minus the square root of 1 equals 5. 4 minus 1 is 3, not 5. Therefore, 2 is extraneous.